Hi, I'm Laverne Cox, and you're watching Out at the Center.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Take your time. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do it right. Come on, baby. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Young people from the Center's Youth Enrichment Services, YES, and seniors from Services and Advocacy for Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender Elders, SAGE, came together a caring community for an intergenerational learning experience led by Older Adults Technology Services, OATS. For 10 weeks, LGBT youth mentored seniors in basic computer skills under the guidance of an OATS facilitator. Let's meet some of the participants from this unique learning collaboration between queer youth and seniors.
It's the first of its kind with relation to the LGBT Center and working specifically with queer older adults and queer youth. Up until now, we have done programs with youth and seniors, but this is the first time we've sort of brought the two groups together. My name is Renee Martinez, and I work for the organization called OATS. I'm the computer instructor here at the Caring Community Center. So I teach the seniors how to use computers, and then I also train the young adults how to work with the seniors, interact with them.
I just knew I wanted more experience, and I figured this was a really good way because not only you're helping someone, you're also learning from them.
It's a 10-week course, and they meet twice a week. It's a basic introduction to computers. How to get online, how to use email, how to search the web, but also just basic things like how to turn the computer on and move the mouse.
I'm totally ignorant when it comes to computers, and I thought it's just silly not to know at this age.
I email a lot and receive a lot of emails, but that I already knew how to do. What I'm here for are the other skills of the computer itself and working with, I guess, Windows, different programs are they called, or different whatever. See, I don't even know computer language. I want to change that in my life.
The course was advertised through the SAGE newsletter. Comes out once a month.
I heard about this free, wonderful class, so I asked if I could do it.
I want to learn more and more about it because I think it's a very exciting course. There's lots to learn on the computer, which I just totally ignored before, but now I feel that I've got to get with it. You know, the internet, your emails, answering, talking to friends on the computer, which is something new to me, and it's sort of exciting. Plus, the instructor is extremely good and she's very patient with everybody.
Renee, she is fantastic with people. She's also fantastic with people, I think, in my age group who tend to be a bit reticent in front of technology. A lot of people, as we get older, they think, oh, well, those young people, they're just tech freaks and they won't take any time with us or they won't care about us. And I found that's just the opposite.
The interns are extraordinary. They have infinite patience.
I think it surprised me that they actually learned how to use the computer, because I thought I would have a hard time teaching them.
You know, it could be a little frustrating to have to tell somebody to do the same thing like every week, you know, for the first 4 or 5 times they do it. How do I get online? Where's the internet? How do I get online?
Oh, there's a lot of frustrating moments. Of course.
I think them just getting what I'm actually saying is good because sometimes I can be confusing. So the fact that they can get it and they actually remember it, sometimes you have to repeat. And after a while, you don't have to repeat it anymore. So once they get it, that's an accomplishment.
First of all, it's practice makes perfect with this kind of a thing. And my problem is when I get home, and I do have a laptop, so occasionally I'll say, oh, I better get on it so I'll know what the hell's going on for the next week.
And the youth, you know, get to these great teaching skills, and they get to hear stories. And a lot of times, seniors, they find something on the internet, and it sparks up a conversation about something they used to know. And so the youth are learning a lot too about history and things that they don't really think about.
I've learned to be a bit more confident, a bit more sure of myself. And then on top of that, they're fun.
There have been several funny moments. Nothing too dirty.
They Googled Oprah Winfrey.
Nothing too dirty.
They wanted to know her birthday.
There's so much information you can get. There's like Google, whatever you want, you'll find that, you know, biographies, the news, the movie reviews.
I knew the rudiments of the computer, but that was about all. I didn't do any Googling which I'm doing now. We've done a lot of medical research in the class, which I found fascinating.
I think the most popular research topic was finding drugs to cure diseases.
The other day, we actually taught them how to buy tickets online.
It's really practical, the skills that they learn.
There are a lot of seniors who would appreciate this course.
I've learned a lot beyond what I would call the basics, and it's been very, very helpful.
Everybody should learn how to use a computer. It's taken me all these years to make that decision, and now I'm very gung-ho. I want to learn everything about it. I want to be a computer expert.
The Centers Promote the Vote campaign is seeking to register 2,000 voters this election season. Are you registered to vote? Are all your friends and family registered? Go to gaycenter.org/PTV for information and click on Register to vote now.
The LGBT community is made up of every other community, so a lot of our issues are everyone else's issues. Healthcare, the economy, jobs, immigration, housing. These are all issues that are really affecting us and are really hurting us right now, so we really need to come out and vote on election day.
Do you think it's really important to vote?
Vital. Absolutely, it's our right. Without our vote, nothing gets changed. No laws are passed. Nothing is done without our vote.
Are you registered to vote?
I am indeed.
What do you think are the big issues this election year?
Minorities should be voting.
One of the main important issues for me is immigration, that we definitely need a change in immigration. We definitely need to have people recognized who are, quote unquote, in the shadows.
Most of my friends were all registered to vote, and we're going to vote this November. I may be only one person, but me, with a community behind me, we become more than just one person, we become one voice. And with that one voice, we can actually make a difference in what's happening.
Is it hard for people to register to vote?
Absolutely not. You could register here at the center on your next visit, or you could register online at gaycenter.org. We have a voter registration tool up, so you could register. ¿Y usted habla con su familia y con sus amigos de votar?
Por supuesto, sí.
¿Y ellos van a votar?
Los que son americanos votarán, sí, claro que sí, claro.
I'm an anarchist, and so on principle, I've always remained registered, but I have not voted for many, many years, and this year I decided that I would be willing to burn an anarchist hell for the opportunity to vote. There are times when I'm willing to compromise my own ideals, and this election is so important.
I think it's important to vote because in some ways I find it empowering, like at least you can go out there and you can cast your vote and you can hope that the candidate that you want will win.
I started to vote when I was 21. In those days, you had to be 21. Well, it's our duty as Americans to do it.
The government belongs to you as long as you vote. If you don't vote, don't complain.
Voting is one way where we can really affect change and make sure that the issues that affect us, all of us, are raised and addressed and changed.
Mara Keisling, Executive Director of the National Center for Transgender Equality, based in Washington, D.C., came to New York to speak about the recent activity of this advocacy organization.
Let me tell you about me. I'm Mara Keisling. I'm a 48-year-old Pennsylvanian, a parent, a vegan, lesbian-identified, trans woman, Libra. I was the first executive director of the National Center for Transgender Equality, and I'm one of the founders. There were a lot of us, including some folks in New York, who were doing federal policy specific to transgender people from around the country. We focus on federal policy and issues of national significance for transgender people. We believe in order to do our work well for transgender people, we have to be an LGBT organization, and we take that very, very seriously. We will not leave gay people behind. We act as a sort of a clearinghouse on trans issues. We do a lot of media. I'm now averaging probably 2 or 3 interviews per day. Very importantly, you won't see my name most of those times because we want as much as possible to have lots of different people doing it. So we'll pitch stories get pitched to us, and wherever possible we try to get the right people. We've been working really, really hard to get more people of color out in front, more youth out in front, more seniors out in front. Because for too long, when you see a transgender person, it's somebody who looks like me. Anybody who wants to identify as transgender is transgender enough for us. Basically, if I had to define it, I'd define it as anybody who faces violence, discrimination, or disrespect because of their gender identity or sexual orientation. Many of you will know that transgender people, well, first of all, most of us don't have health insurance because so many of us don't have jobs or have jobs that don't have health insurance or have other financial responsibilities that mean having health insurance is virtually impossible. Those of us who do have health insurance generally have an exemption for transgender-related care. Now, it's often thought by the public as being a surgery exemption. They won't pay for the surgery, this is a big joke in our office. There's lots of different kinds of the surgery. But anyway, we're trying to fight these insurance exemptions because they're more than just the surgery. There's three categories of problems that it causes trans people. Number one is transition-related medical care. In fact, it does include a bunch of different kinds of surgeries, but it also includes hormones, lab tests, mental health tests, prosthetics, other kinds of things. And even the health plans that say surgery is excluded, or however they word it, the best one is the Veterans Administration calls it genital reorientation surgery or something. I have genital disorientation. So it's fun at parties, but otherwise it's no good. So number one is the transition-related care. Number two is any sex-specific care. You'll hear a lot about trans people. Like I just had a PSA prostate exam done. That's something I'll need to, well, now I scored really well, so I don't have to do it again. But that's something that I might need, and my insurance company might say, whoa, we have you down as a female and you're getting a prostate exam, we can't pay for this. Or they might do that with me with gynecological care or mammograms, you just never know, and that's a problem. And then the third, we have people who are just ruled out of healthcare altogether. This particularly happens in some of the government-sponsored programs like VA TRICARE, Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera. The most lunified case I ever heard about this was a transsexual woman who was playing softball and broke her arm. And she went to the emergency room, had it set in a cast, went home, and everything was fine. And then a couple months later, she starts getting the letter saying that it was refused payment by the insurance company, and it's $7,000, and it's a big deal. Now, she won this case. She worked with Lambda Legal, and she won. But here's how loony the system can be with these exemptions. The reason that they said they wouldn't cover it is because it was transsexual-related care, because had she not been a transsexual, she would not have been playing in a lesbian softball league. So clearly, that's transsexual care. Now, that's kind of crazy, and she won, but that kind of stuff happens a lot to folks. People just turned away and being told, look, your insurance isn't going to pay for this, or we won't, we're the Veterans Administration, we won't take care of you. Healthcare access, in particular around insurance. That's the one we're really right now looking for a really big chunk of foundation support to try to get up and running with actual staff members doing that, because more and more insurance companies are coming to us and saying, we want to do right by this. More and more LGBT organizations and other nonprofits are coming to us saying, we want to do this right, how do we do it? And there's not really good models for how to do it yet. I have an appointment with the Aetna people in 2 weeks to talk about how they can do it better, but we need some real serious staff on this.
And now a word from Richard Burns, the Center's Executive Director.
I'm here today to invite you to join us on the afternoon of Sunday, September 28th. From 3 p.m. onward, we'll be celebrating the 25th anniversary of the founding of the Center with Homecoming, a community celebration full of music, hot dogs, soda, and beer. Lots and lots of our community's organizations will be there with information about how you can get involved in building our queer community. At 5 o'clock, we will welcome home the riders of Breaking the Cycle, the Center's AIDS Ride, a bicycle fundraising ride, which raises literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to support the Center's HIV and AIDS services. So September 28th, Sunday afternoon from 3 p.m. on, please join us at 208 West 13th Street. And bring the kids. There'll be lots of fun activities for them as well. It'll be fun, and I look forward to seeing you there.
The Center's Immigration Support Services presented a panel on the ABCs of immigration in partnership with Immigration Equality and GMHC. This next segment offers highlights from the presentation that covered basic information on asylum, HIV status, and upcoming legislation affecting LGBT immigrants. Although all the presenters are lawyers, it should be noted that the information provided is for general information only and should not be considered legal counsel. You should always speak with a lawyer regarding a specific legal case. You can download the entire panel as an audio podcast by visiting gaycenter.org/out for the link.
This is the first of many educational forums that we expect to have. We plan to open these forums to all segments of the LGBT immigrant community, all languages, all countries. It's not immigration advice that you're getting like you would get when you go to a lawyer's office, because each case is different and each case is individual. It's impossible to do that in a forum like this. But we are going to be providing basic general information.
Generally, how people obtain permanent residence or how they obtain green cards, usually based on some type of sponsorship, and is either sponsorship by a family member or by an employer. What else can LGBT people do in order to obtain legal status that's somewhat perhaps outside the mainstream immigration channels? And the main one that we deal with is people seeking asylum on the basis of their sexual orientation. And an asylum is a type of protection that you get. And essentially it's humanitarian in nature, and it's based in the theory or the principle that you should not be returned to a country where you would be harmed. To be eligible for asylum, you don't need to show that the government of your country is who you fear, who you're afraid of. But what you do have to show is that the government in your country is unable to protect you. Generally, what you're expected to show is that there's a threat of violence.
HIV is treated differently than every other disease under the law. And by that I mean it is the only disease that is codified by Congress as a ban for immigration. There are other diseases on the Department of Health and Human Services list of communicable diseases, like syphilis, for example, which is completely curable, but that's another issue, and tuberculosis, which also ban immigration, but it's not codified under law. Now, this distinction is important because it's much easier to change a policy with the Health and Human Services than it is to change the law, which takes an act of Congress.
The same law gives an excuse or a waiver. We call it a waiver. But before you can get that waiver, you have to satisfy certain requirements. You have to prove one thing, that you have a qualifying relative. And who's a qualifying relative? Spouse of a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident. No same-sex marriage.
My colleagues have given you so much information about, a background on immigration and the problems with the process. And I feel like it's so depressing for a lot of people because there really is no viable option for many of the clients we see. But I kind of want to wrap up today by giving a little hope about where the law might be in the near future. Jerry Nadler and Senator Patrick Leahy introduced the Uniting American Families Act, which it doesn't recognize gay marriage because the Defense of Marriage Act already states that that's not possible. But it provides sort of a separate option for permanent partners.
The Center is a founding member of the New York State LGBT Health and Human Services Network, securing funding that supports work and services for queer health and wellness needs. For one initiative, Center Media produced a video message to increase awareness of issues around crystal methamphetamine in New York communities. This next message takes a look at how you might educate yourself about crystal meth in Rochester.
Absolutely. I think definitely crystal meth is in Rochester.
Yeah, I know it's around everywhere. I know a lot of people use it, raves and sex parties and stuff like that.
I personally do have friends that have tried crystal meth.
A lot of people tell me it's good if you want to have sex for a long time.
Make you ambitious, make you do things that you normally wouldn't do.
Yes, I have been offered.
Yes, I have been offered crystal meth.
I have a brother who's gay. In the last 2 years, he's lost everything. And is HIV positive and actually full-blown.
And then the one reason is because of my father. He is the reason why I'm here. I take care of him. He depends on me.
I like to be controlled of me and not something else control me. Wanting to be a better person and to try drugs like that wouldn't make me seem like I'm on the road to success.
Out Professionals hosted the panel Home Run or Strikeout, 25 Years of Gay and Lesbian Sports. A large and illustrious panel of athletes and sports writers spoke about the current situation of being out in both professional and academic sports in the context of how far we've come in 25 years.
In this post-gay era, why are we even talking about gay people in sports? It's no big deal to be an openly gay athlete, right?
In the WNBA, there's one active player who's out, maybe two, who's out publicly to the press. In the NFL, there are 0. In the NBA, there are 0. In Major League Baseball, there are 0. In the NHL, there are 0. Professional soccer, there's 0. Golf, 0. Tennis, 0. So I'd say it's still a pretty big issue. Otherwise, they'd come out.
I honestly, I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't feel any differently when I did come out because it was, for me, it was I answered a direct question. Someone asked me if I was gay, and it was the first time someone asked me, and yeah, I am. You know, it didn't even occur to me that it was a huge thing.
It was definitely a big deal for my generation. And I think we've made huge progress. I think I get to speak to a lot of high school and college student athletes and coaches in my role with It Takes a Team. And I think we've made tremendous progress. There are a lot more athletes who are out and their teams are comfortable with them. The coaches, not so much. I mean, I see a big gap between the student athletes and the people who are coaching them. And I think that it's gay and lesbian athletes, if they come out in the wrong place, or even if someone perceives them to be gay or lesbian in the wrong place, with the wrong coach, the wrong team, the wrong part of the country, whatever, they're still at huge risk for discrimination.
In professional sports, I think the stakes are huge in terms of concern over loss of sponsors, whether or not you're going to continue to be marketable. I think that's a whole different arena from school sports. I agree with Pat that the world has absolutely changed in the high school locker rooms and to a great extent in the college locker rooms, not as much in the male locker room, which is very distressing. I think that it's a real safety concern for those of us in education that the male locker room is still a potentially violent place for gay men. And why isn't it going any faster? I think it's still an uncomfortable conversation in every place.
Is there any discussion about concerns regarding whether players come out or not come out?
When we talk to players and we go through media training, we tell them, listen, you say what you want to say. We will never tell you what to say, but just understand the impact of the words that you have. It will stay with you, and if you want it to stay with you, great, say it. If you don't think you're going to be comfortable, then think about what you're going to say. So we talk to the players about how to either answer or not answer the question based on their own thoughts, not on what we want them to say.
You have to remember that society goes through change in a very interesting way. There are 4 stages of change. The first stage is anger, the second is retribution, the third is acceptance, and the fourth is celebration. And society doesn't go lockstep. Everybody all at once goes from stage 1 to stage 2. Everybody exists in different percentages. It's just that at the end of that 60 years, the majority is at celebration. So I think we have to be ready we have to push the public policy and push the envelope to start the clock running on this mass visibility and acceptance.
I'm the first actively playing male professional athlete in a team sport, because I think that's the key. Comes out, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge media event, and it's going to get a lot of attention. There's going to be a lot of editorials about it. But I don't think that is what makes social change. I think what makes social change is the young folks who are pushing their older generations and are more comfortable. I think the change is going to be evolutionary rather than revolutionary.
It just occurred to me that my 16-year-old nephew in rural Arizona, actually the nephew of my partner, is an openly gay kid who plays soccer. And the world is changing. And the response that he got in school was overwhelmingly positive.
I think that the huge change is when you get somebody like Bill's nephew, who plays through high school, gets recruited at college, ends up scoring the winning game at the Olympic, or the winning goal at the Olympic Games, recruited for Major League Soccer, is recruited by teams from all over the world. Then people are going to say it isn't a big deal. The last really negative story I heard about coming out in sports was 9 years ago. That was the last time I heard a really bad story. Yeah, certainly some teammates harass out kids, but the last time I heard a kid getting kicked off a team or attacked or anything was 9 years ago. And I've heard a lot of stories since. I think that's kind of telling of where we've gone.
On Saturday, November 1st, the fabulous women of New York City will gather at Pier 60 on the Hudson River for a gala evening of cocktails, dinner, dancing, and a silent auction raising funds for the services the center offers lesbian, bi, and transgender women. This year, they will be joined by cast members from the L Word. So mark your calendars now for the must-attend event of the season.
Are you ready? It's time. Creme de la femmes, you have to let them get ready, which is in pearls and leather.
I do. I want to go in and see all the outfits.
Let's just see if they have a table for us. Just see how many fabulous people are at this event. Here's to you.
And that's all for this edition of Out at the Center. As the credits roll, we'll watch some highlights from the first Out Music Open Mic Night. This monthly series offers LGBT performers the opportunity to show their work to the community. Check out the website for more information and to register online. I'm Laverne Cox. Stay in the love.
What's going on, Out Music?